Hi everyone, welcome to my review of Dinosaur in the year 2000. This is the 39th Disney animated feature film, and it's directed by Ralph Zondag and Eric Leighton. Now, this is one of the first in the Disney post-Renaissance era. So this was basically, after Fantasia 2000, and of course the end of the Disney Renaissance was Tarzan, 1999. And this is the sort of era where, it wasn't quite a successful time for Disney, critically and commercially, and just not much people really say too much in the grand scheme of things on most of these films in the Disney, canon. And this one I've seen this quite a lot as a kid. It was actually one of the first films I saw, at the cinema. I was very young then, about 3 or 4, and yes, basically. This film, it's a mixture of CGI and live action. The backgrounds and everything. The cliffs and stuff like that, and the ocean at times is live action, and then you've got CGI in as well. It's meant to be groundbreaking CGI and stuff, and basically, I saw it at the cinema, and I got it afterwards on VHS, and I watched it quite a lot actually. And yeah, I did really, really like it actually, back then. And, basically over the years, having learned that this is not a popular Disney film at all, it's got 6.5 on IMDb and roughly the same sort of mark on Rotten Tomatoes, maybe even less on Metacritic. And yes, it's just not, too loved at all really. Considering, the post-Renaissance though is I suppose one of the more popular ones of that time. But yes, basically, watched it again tonight for the first time in many, many years. Didn't really know what to expect, and I kind of had just memories of, different bits. And, as I was watching it, I remembered, different situations and scenes. But, I didn't really, haven't seen it in years, of course. And, yes, this film, I think is very underrated. It has been noted at times it is an underrated film, but yes, I don't see why this film is kind of hated on a lot. I think it's a very, very good film actually. In places, it is quite stunning. James Newton Howard does the score as well, and the score to this film is amazing. Just epic. Wow, what an amazing score! James Newton Howard, of course, one of the best film composers of all time for me, and this one is very, very different to, say, most of the ones people know him for, such as the Shyamalan films, but yes, for what he's trying to, this film is, an epic kind of animated film. It is perfect, really, the score. It's got all its moments, and you've got its emotional moments as well, and just beautiful moments within the soundtrack alone, the score, and just kind of is perfect for this film. The the film, I think, doesn't quite, for the most part of the film, live up to the first 15-20 minutes, because that is when the film is really, really stunning consistently, I feel. And people do say that they praise the opening actually as well, most people, but they say that the rest of the film is boring and just it's crap after that. I disagree, but I do think the opening, as I say, 20 minutes or so, is consistently the most stunning parts of the film. It's really amazing, this stuff, and the visuals. It's a mixed bag at times in this film, but certainly, the visuals, in these parts, are actually really, really stunning, and just all the colours used and everything, and very, very atmospheric. Overall throughout the film, it is an odd choice, I will say, to kind of use live action backgrounds and stuff, with these CG kind of dinosaurs and everything in the film, because that's kind of a lot of the time when I kind of notice bad CGI in films, it's when it's right against something that is very, very crisp, you know what I mean, and then when you've got the kind of blurred, you could say, kind of not very real looking CGI, when it's right next to, say, a background or a rock or something like that, it can really show. And there's times in the film where it kind of does that because they are, in amongst loads of rocks. It's not the worst CG I've seen. It's okay actually at times. At times, the Carnosaurus enemies, that are in the film, they're actually really good throughout. Really, I think. And there's some other things dinosaurs that do look good actually at times. The actual visuals though, just of the world and everything, they are at times stunning, actually, especially the beginning and the ending parts. And basically, yeah, I think this film is very good. I think it's got its moments that really are stunning. It has got a few things, flaws that are, they aren't great. There's some things that do bring the film down. I think basically the basic story is this is kind of portraying the kind of the meteor that hit the asteroid that hit that kind of eliminated the dinosaurs basically, and it's kind of a take on that, and the most of the film does follow this iguanodon named Aladar, and very early on in the opening kind of sequence, which is stunning actually. It really is. It's poetic. It's kind of it's just got all the things that are great about. It should be great about an opening scene. No dialogue, just this epic score, and just kind of this visual storytelling that's really amazing actually, and shows him as an egg basically, and it's this journey of near misses, of him dying, before he's actually hatched, and then he gets transported and dropped, and he basically gets brought up by these lemurs, and yeah, there's a grandpa one and stuff, and a little one, and yeah, it's quite touching stuff, and the characters actually in this film are really good, I think, overall. A lot of people criticise the characters and they say that this is boring because the characters are crap and the script is bad. I disagree actually overall. Well, I think the script has got its flaws, definitely. But overall, I think the script is fine actually. At times it is really good. It does get across the messages of hope very, very well at times. And yes, I did care about most of the group of these characters throughout most of the film. But yes, once basically Aladar and the lemurs that survive after this kind of asteroid, the meteor showers hits, basically the rest of the film, most of the rest of the film is a journey, kind of adventure film. It's kind of this trek, you could say, to the nesting grounds. And yeah, it's a short film. The rest of the film really is kind of that, and they kind of come into contact with this herd, and Aladar and everyone else. They meet these other dinosaurs, mostly iguanodons, and that's kind of good because Aladar's not really seen any iguanodons, dinosaurs of his kind until this. So yeah, basically they play on that, and he eventually forms a romance with one of the iguanodons, and she's quite a main character in the film. She is the sister of basically this other iguanodon, who is basically not really the villain of the film, but he's the one that is kind of menacing, you could say. The one that kind of forces everyone to kind of go and is hard on everyone, and he's not nice, basically. So he's not the villain though, really, when you actually think about it, and if you actually watch the film from start to finish. The real villains really are the Carnosauruses that are kind of stalking them, and really you could just say nature. It's one of them where it kind of portrays just nature and kind of natural disasters, and that you could say they are the villains of the film really, the ones that the dinosaurs that stalk them, and also just the kind of natural disasters that happen in the film, and yeah, it's a film that really it does when they're on this journey, it portrays it very, very well at times. The epic scope of it. Combine that with the score by James Newton Howard, and it's very, very well edited. I feel you've got something that is an epic film, and it has got an adventure spirit. It's got some good comedy in the film. A couple of places where the comedy isn't great, but overall I think the comedy does work, and you've got kind of charming characters, and just kind of a well-rounded, mix of characters in this film. Dynamics work really well. You have got quite a lot of drama between Aladar and the the villains of the film, the two leaders, you could say, of the group. But yeah, things play out, towards the end where kind of things aren't quite as they seem. So yeah, it has got as well kind of an emotional undercurrent to the film. It is emotionally driven, actually, and I think the opening 20 minutes really sets that in motion. And even though some of the bits in the middle, when they're on the journey, kind of dip a little bit, they are a bit more flat. It kind of still drives the film. I did care about the characters, and then towards the end, it does pick up again in terms of the emotion, the kind of depth to it, really, you could say. But yes, I think really it is a very, very well made film, and at times it has got its stunning sequences. The action in the film is very, very good, and it has got really good moments of tension and a kind of the approaching enemies, stalking them, the carnivores, and yeah, it kind of just it's got its poetic moments, sometimes involving this as well. And I think really the characters are all mostly very good. There's a couple of moments where the comedy doesn't quite work perfectly or anything, and it does detract a little bit, but a couple of scenes here and there. But really, I think it's not a great film for me overall, but it's a very good film, and I think it is a very underrated one. I'd probably say this is from what I can remember and what I've seen. I've not seen them all though, because really this century I've not seen anywhere near as much Disney films as the 20th century. But from what I've seen of the post-Renaissance, this is probably my favourite at the moment. I've not seen. There's a few I've not seen, but basically I don't think that would be better than this. It is an underrated film, and it did do well at the box office, of course, as well. Really good, but it's part of this post-Renaissance Disney period, and it isn't a loved film. But really, I think it is very, very underrated, and very well directed. It's really at times, it's got really nice messages. It is full of hope at times as well, and basically it has a big scope to the film, and it just it has real emotional undercurrent to the film as well. I think it's probably it's got a couple of bits in the middle where the emotion isn't quite as strong, but it is for the most part an emotion-driven film, and it has a big scope, but it has characters that I cared for. The script, yeah, I think there is a couple moments really with the romance, the main romance that forms, where it is a bit cheesy and a bit basic, a bit on the nose, and it's not great, the way it starts off, but it does kind of develop into something that I kind of liked, and it was quite touching. And yeah, just I think very, very underrated, and a very good film. I'd have to give this film an 87%, mainly because I was going to give it an 86, but the ending, just more I think about it, is the way it kind of ends is very, very quite touching as well, and just very, very grand, and it kind of pretty epic ending. So yeah, I think it's very good. It's not a great film for me. It's not a masterpiece of animation. It has got some flaws in the animation, but actually not as bad as some say. And it is overall mostly very visually impressive, and a couple of instances where it's visually stunning. The kind of mixture of CG and live action at times a bit baffling, but it's not that bad. And really the film as well, the score by James Newton Howard, really once that kicks in, it is really amazing, epic. It's really, really well edited actually. That's really something that I say was pretty amazing for the most part, the editing. And yeah, just the script was strong, I think, overall. And it kind of, it's a survival film, adventure kind of, and yeah, it's it's got emotions that drive the film, characters, and just the way it kind of links in. The kind of beginning and the end, the way it links, is very, very nice, and everything wraps up very well. And yes, it's full of hope throughout, but it's not afraid to go dark, and it is quite dark in places. But yeah, not too many flaws for me. There's a couple here and there, and overall, it just doesn't elevate to a level that quite can be called great from me. But an 87%, that is a very, very high score from me, and yeah. I would highly recommend this film, and if you've not seen it, definitely check it out. You've probably not heard great things about the film, if you've not seen it, but really I would say check it out, because I really think it's underrated, and I don't quite know how it's that low acclaim, but yeah, Dinosaur, I think very good film, and yeah, thanks for watching my review.